Happy holidays everyone, and welcome to Emmy's Pokemon Crystal Kaizo Christmas patch. Like an old silk hat to Johto's Frosty the Snowman, this mod brings life to everyone's favorite Generation 2 region with a whole lot of snow, some of the trickiest trainers you'll ever see, and of course, the most devious ice puzzles ever designed. The goal? To collect the game's 4 badges while playing by hardcore Nuzlocke rules, and to maybe find the meaning of Christmas in the process. So let's have a holly jolly Christmas, shall we? I wiped in attempt 1, okay? I didn't level up my Pokemon enough and lost. I don't really want to talk about it. It's the most embarrassing loss to a child since what occurred at 671 Lincoln Boulevard in 1990. But in the end, attempt 1 will serve as a great opportunity for learning and growth. And honestly, isn't that the true meaning of Christmas? Chicago? As I begin attempt 2, hey, that's Emmy. How did she get into my game, you may be asking? Well, let me introduce you to the brand new Christmas patch online, in which you can run into other active players in the overworld, check out their parties, and even chat with them. Or just spam emotes at each other, a higher form of communication. This is genuinely one of the most incredible ROM hack features I've ever seen, and I highly recommend giving it a try with a few friends. A huge shout out to Emmy for putting it together for this holiday season. Wait, but did she have such little faith in me that she waited in my own home to greet me after wiping? Haha, well I know how to show her. I'm going to get through Dark Cave without Flash. I proceed to get stuck in here for about 10 minutes, start crying and call my mom, just to find out there's no service in here, run into Emmy, who sprinted here to see this disaster for herself, and then get escorted back to the entrance by a guardian angel, who appears in my chat moments later. Oh my god, the light! Turns out you're not supposed to go through Dark Cave yet. Guess I got too excited for the game's puzzles, but can you blame me? Speaking of puzzles, I find this one quite perplexing. Maybe one of you could help me out. Meet Emmy the Nidoran. Here she is evolving into Nidorina. Here she is using Mud Slap against Hiker Parry's demonic Chinchou 4 times, lowering the Anglerfish's accuracy by 4 stages. And here she is still getting hit, and getting crit. How does that happen if you made the game? This run doesn't last much longer. Unlike a certain beetle I know, this Wartortle gets crit since Shell Armor doesn't exist yet in the Pokemon canon. Is it just me, or are we simply having a wonderful Christmas time? Attempt 3 begins, and I don't know, it just feels like the mood is right and the spirit's up. Before grabbing my first encounter, I run into my good friend Tyrone. You may know him from his Twitch channel or his editing for Pichao. He's one of the coolest people in the scene. This is a sign from the Nuzlocke gods. And now, and my sincerest apologies for what's about to happen. On the 3rd attempt of Christmas patch the Nuz gods gave to me 5 golden mons, 4 items and 3 easy wins to catch Abra and a rock who looks like a tree. Why did my voice do that on the last line? Maneuvering the slippery ice of Route 45, a small taste of the Feast of Ice puzzles to come later, I make it to Blackthorn City in one piece. That's right, the first of Christmas patch's 4 boss fights is with Gym Leader Claire, who I will have to fetch from the Dragon's Den, only accessible by going through Dark Cave. With the old rod in hand, I pause for some ice fishing in Cherry Grove before heading to the Dark Dungeon, and oh, turns out that with Flash, making it through the cave is as easy as getting a cup of hot chocolate on the Polar Express. One of the fights in here against Pokemaniac Calvin is a fun reward for navigating the darkness. He has 6 unknowns, each with different hidden power types, and spelling out their trainer's name. Emmy has actually done quite a bit of storytelling with the trainer names at Christmas patch. For example, meet Birdkeeper Perry. But Drew, don't you mean Hiker Perry? Nope, that was Perry with an A. This is Perry with an E. But know this, if you run into a guy named Perry in Emmy's Johto, you're in trouble. Meet Birdkeeper Perry's Gligar. The early game god with the giant grin knows Guillotine, a one-hit KO move that threatens to gobble up your Pokemon and grace you with the gift of a gourmet home-cooked meal as you get ready to gather the courage and gamble it on a new attempt of the game. In simpler terms, this guy is a problem. As for answers, I have 3. Number 1 is simple. Pray that Guillotine, which has just 30 accuracy, never hits. Number 2 is to intentionally overlevel a Pokemon during the fight, since the move fails if the target is a higher level than the user. Neither of those options, however, are optimal, so that brings me to number 3, which is a method that takes advantage of a quirk in the AI called smearing. This is by far the best way to counter the Gligar, but there are 2 problems. First, I have yet to learn about smearing as of this point in the run, and second, even if I did know about it, I wouldn't be able to take advantage, since it requires baiting Poison Sting over Mud Slap, which only one of my Pokemon can do, Pineco, whose offensive output would make for an awkward 1v1. And yet, I try it anyways, hoping for some good poison luck, which doesn't work out because I get poisoned immediately, as well as some good pin missile luck, which doesn't work out as Nutcracker has never learned to count beyond 3. This is on me for not liking nuts. I end up losing both Croconaw and Kadabra here, and I won't lie, I'm distraught. Realistically, what I should have done was overlevel Croconaw, who has a better 1v1 matchup against the Flying Scorpion, but I was worried about beating the remaining trainers of the split without Big Dumper, and picked the Pokemon with the least early game viability. And oh boy, it has cost me. Of course, the trainers in the Dragon's Den aren't even that bad. Despite being down to just 5 team members with Pineco overleveled, I don't have any trouble with any of the fights here. The puzzle, on the other hand, is so much fun, as are all the overworld puzzles in this game. I don't want to spoil too many of them just in case you feel inspired to journey through this winter wonderland yourself, but the key to solving this one, and basically all of them, is understanding your goal at every step. In the Dragon's Den, the first goal is to get to the left half of the ice, then make your way to the Twins, and finally reach the bottom of the map to access the Dragon's Shrine, where the Master says that Claire is ready for battle. In this quest, cleverly hinted at by the placement of the Whirlpool HM, you'll have to use these whirlpools on the ice, which will send you sliding 90 degrees to the left of the direction you're facing. It's a fun mechanic that will appear again. Before exiting, I fish up Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, leaving just one more encounter before fighting Claire. She, like so many trainers in this mod, throws a variety of challenges at you. Her lead Vaporeon has a setup baton pass set that adds a dash of chaos to the battle immediately. She has some good type coverage with Charmeleon and Nidorina, and her Seadra is nearly impossible to 1v1. Admittedly, I don't feel great about my chances with 2 Pokemon down and 1 overleveled, but like I said, I do have one more encounter I can grab first, via a Headbutt Tree in Blackthorn City. And that's right, Santa Claus is coming to town. Pinsir knows a funny little move called Fury Cutter, which begins at 15 base power and doubles in damage each turn it's used in succession. With this one move, Pinsir puts Claire in the blender. Badge 1 acquired, baby. Surfing opens up 3 new encounters. Mantine and Wooper, who I get from Route 27 and the Falls respectively, are 2 of the best encounters in the game in my opinion. And it's worth routing your encounters to get them sooner rather than later if you can. As for Route 31, here we get a giant present, a guaranteed evolution. With 2 fire types already in my box, and no dark, electric, or psychic, nighttime is 100% the play. Naturally, I get Vaporeon, who's still really good, especially once gaining access to Ice Beam and Recover later. Those are terrible DVs. By the way, you may have noticed this incredible resource I've been using in the bottom right corner of the screen that is a damage calculator, PC box manager, trainer document, and map all in one. Well, this is Emmy's Crystal Kaizo Plus Calc, one of the greatest gaming resources I've ever had the pleasure of using. It makes the experience of playing through a challenging Generation 2 game so much smoother. Once again, shout out to Emmy for being the absolute GOAT. The calc will be especially helpful for an upcoming 6-battle gauntlet on Route 44, but first there's a little cave full of magic, wonder, and yes, ice puzzles! A true gentleman leaves no puzzle unsolved, so let's get started. And would you look at that, Halo and my good friend J-Mash are here to help. Cheer me on. Pick me up when I slip. Watch me suffer.
Good answer. Yes.
It may seem like such a little thing, but going through this cave alongside friends really is an entirely different and way more fun experience. By the way, J-Mash is a very good Nuzlocker who also streams on Twitch, and I highly recommend checking him out. He's even beaten this game on stream. The first few puzzles take place in one giant room where one mistake can send you backwards, even potentially all the way back to the beginning. Like earlier, understanding where you're trying to go is crucial to finding the exit. Luckily, I'm able to see the potential pitfall at the end of the final section, and proceed to B1F. The puzzle here is quite a bit smaller, but requires careful mapping of the boulders to slide back and forth across the entire floor. Border Desmond lies at the end of this one, wielding a pretty tough team that's quite a step up from the opening split. The Pokemon I'm most worried about here is Mantine, since I don't have an electric type and the Manta Ray has Whirlpool to trap my Pokemon. But the combination of Toxic and Protect lets Venomoth not just stall out the Whirlpool turns, but deal enough passive damage for Vaporeon to switch in as poison damage notches the KO. I don't find the next puzzle on B2F to be that challenging, but it leads to B3F, where my favorite puzzle of the game lies. On this floor, I slide into Skier Ally, who has just one Pokemon, a Delibird, who is easily countered by a Fossil. But the key is that after beating her, she becomes, well, your ally, remaining in position to act as a boulder that will help you solve the puzzle. The thing is, there are a few different positions she can end up in depending on where you trigger the battle, and the real puzzle is finding which of those placements leads to the exit. You can reset her position by going back up to B2F and coming back down, but you'll need to fight her again if you do so. And while Delibird may not be that threatening, he gives out a ton of EXP. This is why Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, is underleveled. It takes me 3 tries, but I do ultimately solve the puzzle. The climb back to the surface proves to be child's play compared to the descent, and after a quick battle against Skier Vera, I'm just one ledge away from escaping. Alright, I'm betting on the top one. Thanks, J-Mash. So yeah, I have to go through the entire cave again, though like I said earlier, this is way more fun with friends. Honestly, it's really satisfying speeding through all these puzzles that wrinkled my brain just moments earlier. Giraffe Freak added to the box, it's time for the Route 44 Gauntlet. Once I begin the first fight, there's no accessing the game's portable PC until defeating the final one. 6 trainers, 1 guy. The odds are stacked against me, and that's just the way I like it. The team is as follows: Mantine, Corsola, Fortress, Sudowoodo, Typhlosion, and last but not least, Quagsire, welcome to the party, pal. With Lucia here, Cool Trainer Sybil is rendered as light as the strings of glowing bulbs people seem to hang up all over the place this time of year. Now, 'twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring. Except for Cool Trainer Alan's Tauros. This is one of Christmas Patch's most notorious foes. Being easily able to turn your team into Swiss cheese, most players will have to resort to risky plays built around Mudslap accuracy drops with a rock type. This guy is a tough nut to crack. Luckily, I have the perfect answer. Fortress dodges Rock Slide flinches and fires back with a barrage of pins to knock Tauros into rest range, opening the door for my Christmas tree to finish the job with submission. It's easy if you just don't get haxed. Youngster Warren is another fight where having Quagsire helps a ton, bringing us to a back-to-back with Fisher's Wilton and Edgar. Though Edgar only having a Wooper means that by navigating through Wilton's Hax item holding Octillery and Kabutops with Mantine intact, we have no trouble moving on to the Gauntlet's final trainer, Psychic Phil. His Giraffe Rig is built just like Claire's Vaporeon. The only difference this time is that I don't have Pinsir. I just didn't have a way to fit Sir Nick on the team for this Gauntlet if he was only going to bring value for this fight. So that puts me in a precarious position against Slowking. Anticipating Toxic into Typhlosion, I turn to Fortress, but oh no. That's really bad. That's actually so bad. That's like disastrous low-key. Because I got Spadef dropped. So I'm dead to Psychic. Alright. We're balling hard. We're balling hard. Okay. I'm gonna send in Quagsire. Toxic. Okay. I lose the speed tie. Oh, let's go, baby! Let's go! Yippee-ki-yay, Mahogany Town. What'd you think I was gonna say? Spearow joins the team here from a headbutt tree, and I clear out this entire headbutt table on routes 42 and 43, securing Natu and Scyther. And this may be my first major mistake since Gligar. Yes, this entire headbutt table is incredible. However, the Lake of Rage's Surf and Old Rod tables have just Seal and Magikarp, neither of whom are particularly amazing. Which feels weird to say about Gyarados, but this is pre-physical special split, and pre-abilities. Thankfully, you can headbutt at the lake for a better encounter, and I should have done this to clear out the table instead of headbutting on Route 43. What encounter should I have gone for on Route 43? Well, to help answer that question, let's take a look at Christmas Patch's second boss, a wild Dugong who is 8 levels over the level cap. With Whirlpool, he can trap your Pokemon and destroy them with his level advantage. The only Pokemon you'll find who can consistently counter the Sea Lion by itself, Poliwrath, who you can get via fishing on Route 43. And with Wooper already in the box, I would have had a 50% chance to land the Tadpole. So with a box that has no super effective stab options, I lean on Toxic Stalling with Mantine and throwing my Ninetales to the wolves, just praying for no Whirlpool so I can set up a pivot cycle, since a KOing Surf will always be clicked over the trapping move. Unfortunately, Firefox gets unlucky on the switch in, leading to my third fallen team member of the run. She does at least get a Confuse Ray off before going down, allowing me to close out the fight with no more hiccups. It hurts to lose Ninetales, but I was okay risking her given the fact that Typhlosion covers just about all of her viability, with one exception being Confuse Ray. So it's quite poetic that that niche came up big for me to acquire badge number 2. Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. Now, my first badge came with 3 bonus gifts in Mantine, Quagsire, and Vaporeon. So what's the bonus gift for badge number 2? Yeah. Fisher Andre's Kingdra. Listen, there's still plenty of game left, but I don't think I'm overreacting by saying this monstrosity might very well be the most overpowered foe in the game. What counters this? If you choose defense with a water type, then you're going to struggle to win the damage race against Outrage or Hyper Beam. If you choose offense with a strong neutral attacker, you're probably using a Pokemon without the bulk required to take hits. I choose to run a pivot cycle using Vaporeon to bait Hyper Beam into resistances, then Strike on the recharge turn. Back to Vaporeon to soak up a resisted attack, rinse and repeat. This works twice in a row, and then it doesn't. Turns out Hyper Beam AI is weird. Love that. I try to pivot around as much as I can, but I'm losing tempo fast and need to make a sacrifice to get back on track. Vaporeon, I'm sorry. I'm able to steer the rest of the fight thanks to Xatu knowing Giga Drain, but that wasn't great. And now we have to deal with Cool Trainer Aaron's Meganium. He has a really simple set, Ancient Power for Omni Boosts and Synthesis for Healing, which becomes even more powerful the more boosts the big dino gets off. But surely, I dodge every Omni Boost, right? Let's try some Pin Missile shenanigans. No boosts, please. Oh my god, I got a boost on the first one. Please, Fortress, learn how to count to higher than 2. God! Oh no. Just dodge the crit. Just dodge the crit, buddy. Shell armor. Okay. Oh, no. 07 Nutcracker. Nice crit, sure. Yeah, just in case you weren't sure that was going to KO. I'm going to send Giraffaric to the Wolves first, see if we can pick up a Body Slam Paralysis. Show me Paralysis. No, this is 07. As Quagsire saves the day, I do need to point out that I did not play this optimally. I simply forgot to check how much PP Ancient Power had and didn't realize Meganium could pretty easily run out of it. Had I realized that sooner, I could have saved Fortress and maybe even Giraffaric by sending out Quagsire and dodging some crits. Alas, I have now lost 4 Pokemon in 3 fights, and things only get worse as I climb Mount Mortar. 50% chance for Magnemite or Misdreavus, also a 5% chance for Elekid, which would be pretty good. That's it. The box is in rough shape as I turn my attention to Karate King Kaio, the 3rd boss. I think most players would see this box and call it a day right here, especially players who are exhausted and will be on vacation in less than 24 hours. But I'm not most players. For better or for worse, I'm just too competitive with myself. I may only have 10 friends left, I may only have 9 friends left, but remember, no man is a failure who has friends. In the name of Christmas, I will push this run as far as it can go. I don't know when it will end, but I do know that it will end in a blaze of glory. Hopefully an open one that can roast chestnuts. Now, let's roast Karate King Kaio. Leading with Heracross, I choose Scyther, who slices and dices with a wing attack to draw out Golem, aka dinner for Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Poliwrath is the mon who requires the most effort to counter. Knowing that submission is incoming, I go to Mantine to get off a Toxic and stall as many turns as possible before entering a deep slumber. With Lovely Kiss now off the table, Venomoth comes in for the finish. What am I going to do against Dodrio? Thunderbolt Gyarados. Maybe you think you heard me wrong, so let me repeat. Thunderbolt Gyarados. Thunderbolt Gyarados, I'm so sorry. I don't have a ground type anymore, so I have to sacrifice someone to Typhlosion, and you're the only one who makes sense. My apologies. The combination of Corsola and Scyther finishes the fire starter, leaving just Hitmontop, who is walled out by Chris Paul. How about that? We're on to Rocket Hideout, where I catch Big Christmas the Voltorb, but the odds are stacked against me in a major way. It's never a good sign when a game's developer tells you straight up that you have no chance, but let's see how far we can get. Scizor is always a great lead into grunt number 1. His Giraffaric uses Swagger to boost Chris Paul's attack by 2 stages, and with the help of a Person Berry, the Clipper legend knocks out not just the Giraffe, not just Machamp, but the Grunt's own Scizor as well. With all the momentum on my side, Sir Nick closes out a clean first fight. The good fortune continues into the next Grunt, whose Berserk Gene Hitmonchan strategy backfires, letting Big Christmas set up a Thunder Wave and Light Screen against Espeon, prolonging Electrode's time on the field before ultimately falling due to Espeon hitting through Paralysis every turn. Alright, Emmy, it's pretty simple. You haven't hit through once yet. So why hit through that time? Oh, shoot! No. Oh, Emmy's confused no more, but that means now it confused race again. Oh, wait, yes, 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 yes. Bang. The Emmy redemption arc. Who could have seen that coming? But let's be real. We're running on pure fumes. Scientist Mark. Oh, Scientist Mark. As we watch this fight play out, I can't help but reflect on the journey thus far. The ups, the downs, the puzzles. I couldn't ask for a better Christmas experience. Spending time with friends and having fun. And isn't that what it's really all about? I'm dead 20% of the time. Sir Nick. Me and you, buddy. Alright, that's it. It's over. At this point, it's just a matter of time. Could I have played better during this run? Absolutely. I made mistakes against Gligar early on, with my encounter routing in the mid-game, and didn't adequately slow down to better handle some of the game's tougher foes, leading to the losses of strong Pokemon like Fortress, and snowballing into even more losses. But I also got to ball out and have one of my most fun Nuzlocking experiences because of it, and I wouldn't change that for the world. Plus, there's one more puzzle I've yet to tackle, apparently a contender for the best in the game, so I have something to look forward to. And hey, you know what? Looks like in the end, we get a white Christmas. Thank you once again to Emmy for creating an incredibly fun game. Thank you to the friends who ran and slid alongside me, and thank you for joining me on this journey not just through the Christmas patch, but throughout this entire wild year. This has been my favorite year of challenge running and making videos yet, and I'm so excited for next year. I have so much planned, and everything is lining up for it to be an all-timer. Happy holidays, everyone, and I'll see you in the new year.